Let's see. Let's get this all set up. Post now. Who's there? Okay, let's see where we're at here. Putting it on private. Okay. Hello, everybody. Tell me if you can hear me. Let's turn that down so we don't get the crazy feedback. Hey! Got my vegan smoothie. Here you can hear me fine, and namaste. Namaste. Right on. Well, thank you, God's favorite atheist, for being the first one to join the Super Chat Sunday on September 10th. Boo, 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 boo. Wait, where it is? Where is it? The blue light. There it is. The surfboard that I just went surfing with Putin. We had a great surf. We talked about how we like overthrowing governments. Marsha Smith, hello. Jake Smith. Marsha and Jake Smith. I'm assuming no relation. The Adventures of the Spoon Licker and the Pantless Wonder. those are There's my vegan smoothie. Some of you like the video and you like me licking the spoon. Maybe I'll just do a series of videos that's just me licking spoons. Oh my God, that was good. I was surfing. So what's up, everybody? How is everything going? The Independent Outsider is here. What's up? Dave, oh wow, you guys all seem to know each other. Fantastic. We're on the Twitter. We're on everything else. So I guess while everybody's logging in here, I posted the video yesterday of how poor people in Miami are being like completely abandoned. I'm sure you've been watching. I was watching it earlier today. The news how Irma is basically coming up the West Coast. I got a lot of friends in Florida, and I've done a bunch of shows there, so it's just like, didn't we just do this 2 weeks ago? It's crazy in Houston. So the fact that no one wants to talk about climate change, no one in the mainstream media is mentioning climate change. They talk about how it was a Category 5 for 37 hours, and the warm water makes it stronger. So when it hit like land over Cuba, it downgraded and then went back up to like a Category 4. Went down to like a 3 and then back up to a 4, and then so no one wants to talk about that, and now they're saying Irma has weakened down to a Category 2, but it's a 400-mile wide storm, which is just brutal. Also, I posted the $10 bonus video and the $5 bonus audio. I'm sorry I haven't done the credits yet. I've just been it's been busy. My movie's coming out Tuesday. Earbuds, the podcasting documentary, is available on iTunes and Google and Amazon and all those platforms starting September 12th, which is cool. And also, yeah, and then just had to go going through a breakup. It was fucking stupid. So yeah, my girlfriend was the one that was doing all that work for the channel, and the relationship is over, so I'm doing more of that stuff. So that's what's up with that. David Kapoor is here. C. Rose is here. How to stay engaged without going insane. Great title and topical. Yeah, great. It was suggested by a Patreon backer, and it's something that I like talking about because it's something that I wrestle with from doing this show. You know, as I've talked about, I wasn't paying, like, it was funny when 9/11 happened. That rattled me and a lot of Americans, I think, and I started to pay way more attention to things, and then I think I sort of slacked when Obama got in office. I made that huge mistake of like, oh, it's better now, you know, we got the Republicans out, so it'll be better. And so since the election, I just realized how much I have to pay more attention, and then it's a daily thing for me. It's a daily thing on how to engage and pay attention without going crazy. The thing I liked from that article that I talked about is how Twitter, you know, can be a dark place, but it also can be a good thing. And you know, the writer was like, I need to just tweet some silliness, and so I've sort of like realized, you know, I'm a comedian, and so if I have a joke or some just sarcastic thing, I need to put that out there Twitter-wise because it's fun and whatever. I'm a comedian, that's what I'm doing, and I just got to make sure. There's a balance, you know. I'm not going to just have a Twitter feed that's all just snarky jokes. I don't want that. I don't want to be that kind of comedian anymore. Not that I was, but I don't want to be that kind of comedian. And also, then I don't want it to all just be, you know, politics. So it's going to be more politics than just jokey jokes. But you know, thanks for bringing that up. Winkle the Burn Bro, hello guys. Renee Moncayo, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Stone, and Alex Jones should be hunted down and get their asses kicked. Oh yeah, I know. It's so stupid. It just shows you how crazy things have gotten that there's people out there saying that this hurricane is faked. And I was thinking about it today when I was surfing, actually, because I've had some videos suggested from you, but and you know, about weather manipulation and the deep state is controlling the weather. And while I don't deny, or it's not outlandish to believe that the deep state is capable of doing that. I think the problem that I have with embracing that conspiracy theory is then it sort of undermines global warming, you know, and it gives credence to climate change. It undermines climate change, and it gives credence to climate change deniers to say, and wingnuts like Rush Limbaugh and Alex Jones, oh, see, there's climate change, that's just bullshit. The deep state or whatever, the globalists are concocting the weather, and it's just like, well, I don't know. I've seen so much research to back up the fact that and I've talked about this in several videos, that hurricanes are not created by global warming, but they become more severe. The warmer the water is, that's how hurricanes gain strength when they're over water. They dissipate over land, so if the water that they're over is warmer by a degree or two, that might not seem like a lot, but that's a huge deal in terms of the environment. So, you know, you're right. Joseph Woodward, one of the Green Party leaders in the UK, tried to mention the links between the storms and climate change in Parliament and was accused of lacking humanity. God, it shows you that they will, and it's people from the left, some of them, that's so relevant, and pertinent to what we're talking about because it shows you what they're capable of doing. They will do anything to subvert actual mainstream conversations about climate change. They will do anything. They'll call you a traitor. They'll call you, oh, how dare you, you're disrespecting the victims of these hurricanes. What? No, I'm trying to prevent more of these from happening. I don't want we've had 2 Category 5 hurricanes in 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? Houston is still, there's still people in shelters there. There's already several hundred thousand people displaced in Florida. And how dare you make that connection? No, how dare you not make that connection? Who the hell are you? Where's your humanity, people in the UK Parliament, for not saying, you know what, let's cut the nonsense. Climate change is real. We need to do something about it. Look what's happening in Florida. Look what's happening in Cuba. Look what's happening in Texas. We need to pay attention to this. Why are we pretending that it isn't? That's how you need to come back with them. We got to come back as hard as we possibly can on the progressive side. We got to stop like, when they say that, you got to come back just as hard and go, how the hell can you live with yourself? How the hell can you look yourself in the mirror and not make this connection between climate change and these hurricanes? Where's your humanity? Why don't you go to all those people that have lost family members, people that don't have homes now? My friend that lives in Tampa, she went way up into Pensacola or something like that, and she just texted me and was like, I don't know if we're going to have a home when I get back. She's a single parent with a teenage daughter, and she's not sure if she's going to have a home when this is all done. Now, if the environment was perfect and there was no damage to it, we would still be having hurricanes. They wouldn't be this severe. Maybe this hurricane would have formed and it would hit landfall as a Category 1 or maybe a Category 2. That's bad, causes damage, but not this. Not 51 inches of water in Houston. Thanks for bringing that up. Winkle to Bernie, bro. Yeah, I got your name right, brother. Independent outsider, the fake Sandy Hook thing infuriates me. Yeah, that's a level. I mean, that's literally, we are dealing with people that are insane, they must be suffering a severe type of mental illness. To say that's the other thing that's just, you talk about, where's your humanity? Where's your humanity? People whose children were killed, were murdered by a senseless act of gun violence, and you're going to say that it's a conspiracy? Man, I feel like it's like when you heard, was it Gus Grissom? One of those like original, or maybe it was Shepard. One of those original astronauts. The moon landing was fake guy came up to him and said that to him, and he just knocked him out. Like, boom, shut up. I don't want to hear it. That's the thing, like, I'm willing to listen to a reasonable debate, but the crazy people, I don't want to hear them. And it drives me nuts when the mainstream media gives them credence and they always say, well, let's hear both sides of it. Both sides? It's like, let's talk to the mathematician and then let's talk to the homeless guy that's barking at the moon. Let's see which one, I don't know, they both have both sides. Ugh, ridiculous. All right, here's some questions. Don't forget, guys, you can support the show by hitting the dollar icon below there. That's a super chat. Your question gets put up there. I will absolutely answer it and address it and say your name, and that's a great way to support the show. Yeah, independent outsider, 3 hurricanes, right? Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting there's a third one. I mean, it's like, yeah, and there's more hurricanes coming, right? It's like, how do we keep track of all of them? It's like all the shootings and the gun violence. I can't keep track of them. Zero, starting to think it might be time to plan around the climate being different and put research, tech development into growing crops, living in a drastically different world. I think it is too late. Well, I don't think it is too late, but you bring up a good point, C. Rose, which is it's time to like drastic measures need to be taken, and this is the thing, like why it's so disheartening when the UK Parliament and the American government, the American government should be leading the way, going, okay, enough is enough. If we had we had Bernie in the White House, this is what would be happening right now. It would be like, we're done. climate change is real. Look at what it's costing. It's costing lives. It's costing billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. It's costing jobs. It's costing people's homes. We gotta get after this now. We gotta get after this now. So, and all we can do is keep fighting the good fight on our end. Me personally, I'm going to start this cool gig is starting. I can't really talk about it yet, but it's going to be late October, early November. When that happens, I'm going to be in a position to replace my Toyota RAV4 with 253,000 miles. Might be time for a new car, and I'm going to get an electric. That's a done deal. Independent outsider, it is sad that we have gotten this far, but Graham, I am concerned that when I donate to organizations' resources won't get to those who need it. I know you're a Red Cross volunteer. Comment. That is a valid concern. So I would suggest several things. First of all, there's a site called charitynavigator.org, I believe, and they just are an independent website that monitors, and you can see like 87% of your money goes to here, so it's basically 87 cents on the dollar. So as a guy that's worked for non-for-profits, it's a fine question, and I'll give you my opinion as a Red Cross volunteer. Now, I'm not in the hierarchy of the Red Cross management. I know there's been stories about, there's mismanagement of funds. That may be the case. I will say this. Every non-for-profit has operating costs. If you have a one-room office with a phone and a couple of employees, you need money for that. You need money to, every year, the 501c3, it's like a corporation, and you have to pay a corporate tax fee. I'll talk about the Red Cross since you brought them up. So just here in Southern California, they're asking for 1,500 volunteers to get deployed to Texas. That's just, they haven't even started talking about Irma yet. So what you do is if you're a disaster volunteer, you get a 2-week deployment. So the Red Cross would fly me to Houston and put me up and feed me for 14 days. Now I get no money, I get no stipend, but I have no operating expenses. Where's that money come from? That's just me for one guy. They want to do that for 1,500 people. Not to mention, then when we're in Houston, the food, the water, all of the people, there's hundreds of thousands of people being, displaced. There's shelters with thousands of people in them, and all those people need 3 meals a day. They need health care, they need clothing, they need all this stuff. So there's a lot of operating expenses in a disaster. Now the Red Cross always takes heat because what the Red Cross does sometimes, I remember this happened with 9/11. $1 billion came in for 9/11. And everyone was complaining, it all should be going to the survivors or whatever from the trade towers. And there was only several thousand survivors. The Red Cross is not an annuity company. They're not an insurance company. And they're really supposed to be writing $5 million checks to people? Someone at the Red Cross said, why don't we keep some of this money for future disasters? And people like Bill O'Reilly, he got himself famous by calling out the Red Cross after 9/11, made it seem like the Red Cross wanted to take hundreds of billions of dollars and go to Vegas. Hundreds of millions of dollars and go to Vegas. And it's like, the thing people don't understand specifically about the Red Cross, the number one thing that the Red Cross responds to is single-family fires. Somebody's house gets burned to the ground. They don't have insurance. They don't have money. They don't have a place to stay. The fire department has just finished putting the fire out. They're home. I've gone there. They're called DAT calls, Disaster Action Team calls. You show up. This person's house is to the ground in rubble. They have nowhere to go. They literally have the clothes on their back, and the Red Cross shows up, opens up a case file for them, gets them food, clothing, shelter, their immediate needs. And then opens up a case file and starts working with the social worker. But I've showed up at places at 1, 2 in the morning, and they're just like, what do we do? And the kids are crying, and we have these vans, the DAT vans, and they have like stuffed animals in them, and they have these comfort kits that have like comb, toothbrush, toothpaste, basic things. You don't think about that. But if your house burned to the ground and all you had was what was on you, you don't have anything. You don't have anything, And let alone if you're somebody that needs medication or glasses or whatever, and the Red Cross comes in and helps you out. That's the number one thing the Red Cross responds to is single-family fires. And when that happens, guess what? There's no telethons, there's no celebrities writing big checks, there's no music, the mainstream media isn't there, but to that family that just lost everything, it's just as bad as Hurricane Harvey or 9/11 or, you know, Katrina or any of these other things. So where does the money come for that? The Red Cross gets almost no money from the federal government. The majority of their money is in-kind donations from the American people. So when something like Hurricane Harvey happens and people donate all this money and it's wonderful and it's gracious, I worked at a telethon and to help bring in all this money. And once they allocate all that money for the people that are dealing with, that have been affected by Hurricane Harvey, and there's extra money, they should, of course, put it in their general fund, because when the disasters come, there's no planning. This just, boom, it just happens, and then all of a sudden you have to allocate hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to cater. And if the money isn't there already, how are you going to do it? And also, all these people that called in, that telethon I did, the money just, you don't just call or text and then boom, it just a pallet of water shows up for you to take to people in a shelter. It takes time to physically process that money and for the money to get into the right place. Just think about yourself, how you get paid and all that stuff. Now think about millions of dollars going through this process. So I know this is sort of a lengthy answer, but I'm very passionate about the American Red Cross, and I've seen the work that I've been in shelters. I've helped people. I've seen how much money is needed, right? So, I mean, for us to do the telethon that I did last Friday, they had to feed all of us. I mean, they're just showing up with Subway sandwiches and pizza, but that costs money. I mean, they had to give everybody a Red Cross shirt, all the new volunteers, just little things like that. So, to go back to your initial thing, Independent Outsider, check with Charity Navigator, and then also know specifically to the Red Cross, read the articles. I'm not saying the articles that are critical of the Red Cross are all wrong, and I'm not just going to sit there and blindly, but I personally know what the Red Cross does, how it helps people, and if there's people, there's no other organization like the American Red Cross, and it always helps a lot of people, and then it always takes a lot of shit. It's always taken a lot of shit. And then people try to politicize it, and then the media jumps in, and then everyone's like, oh, I hate the Red Cross because it's a scam. And it's just like, no, it's not. It helps a lot of people. That's one way to do it. I hope that helped. Renee Monkeo, it's easy for the UK until forest fires and storms would affect the British Isles. Yeah. I know places that don't get hurricanes don't want to address that. It has to do with climate change, and the politicians that are backed by the oil companies are absolutely going to badmouth it. Independent Outsider, you just supported the show. Great info. Thank you, sir. Charity Navigator. I'm so glad that helped. I try to give out as much information as I can, and that Charity Navigator site has helped me a lot. Like, I was a big proponent of the Wounded Warrior Project, Independent Outsider, but then last year or so, then people high up were bilking money from that, and it was really pissed me off. But since that, they've fixed that problem, obviously. They're being very much more transparent. So I go to Charity Navigator now, and I see that actually Wounded Warrior Project's rating is higher than it was from a couple years ago. So that's a good thing. And thank you for supporting the show. Karen Sheets, I think the thievery was through the Clinton organization. Yeah, I know. I did an article or a video on how the Clinton organization, you know, the foundation raised all this money for Haiti, and then they kept a lot of it. And some of that went through the Red Cross. That's the other thing, too. The Red Cross collects the money, and then they distribute it to people, and then those people distributed are corrupt and crooked, and then who gets blamed? The Red Cross gets blamed. Thanks for bringing that up, Karen. Phil Britton. What's up, Phil? The Pope visited the gold mines in Haiti first. The people second. Where was God's gold from the Vatican helping Haiti? Yeah, that's a great point. And I did that video on the Clinton Foundation, and they like built a hotel, and Oh wow, good. The hotel industry got helped out, and meanwhile they didn't the money to the actual people in the actual affected areas. I got to be honest. If I was a billionaire, I would just show up with the team of people and be like, "Where? Who needs money? What? What do we need? Buy it. Go." You know, like boats. Here, I'm buying them. You use them now. That's what I would do if I was a billionaire. But again, the Red Cross has a lot of infrastructure in place to deal with these giant disasters. When there's a shelter, Red Cross has trucks throughout the country with hundreds of cots and blankets to just go, okay, there's been this disaster, we're going into this stadium, set up a shelter, and the Red Cross can show up there in a matter of hours and set up a shelter. That's where also your money is going. You're helping in the preparedness of a disaster, and have the money for the Red Cross to always have its infrastructure up to date and in place for that, because these disasters come out of nowhere. I would also suggest going to redcross.org and get a disaster preparedness kit ready. I live in Southern California. This is an earthquake zone. We have to be ready for this. Tio Yoshi, I love you, but I'm from Brazil. Oi, meu amigo, tudo bem? Eu falo português um pouco. Onde é o Brasil, meu amigo? Onde? Eu vai para Manaus e Rio de Janeiro, com certeza. Tudo muito tempo na Amazonas. Muito bonita, muito quente. Muito quente. Ai, meu Deus. Todo tempo em Amazonas eu vermelho e tudo Amazonas fala muito quente por gringo. Muito obrigada para R$ 5. Tudo legal, Theo. See, guys, if you say something you're from Brazil, I can speak a little Portuguese. I haven't been to Brazil in a long time. It's been about 10 years. I love Brazil. I'm going to go back. I'm going back to Brazil. Thank you, Tio Yoshi, for the R$5. I appreciate it, man. Don't apologize for being from Brazil, brother. Clinton's, C. Rose, Clinton's corruption in Haiti runs deep. Hillary's brother owns many gold mines in Haiti. Yeah, of course. The gold industry, God, it's just like the Clintons. More fun from the Clintons. We talked about, I don't know if you guys watched me on Aggressive Progressive last Thursday, and we spent half of the show talking about Hillary's book and her. It's like people are like, why do you progressives keep harping on the election? It's over. No, she keeps bringing it up. She just released a book that's full of lies and bullshit and blaming Bernie supporters, and we're all dumb burn bros that cost her the election, and takes zero responsibility for why she failed. It's maddening. Rene Moncayo, oi Yoshi, oi. No gold mines there. It's gold, sugar. Yeah, sugar. Wherever people show up to help, it's probably because there's some natural resource they need. Sugar, gold, oil, minerals for cell phones, whatever. Okay, where are we at? Thank you, Tio, for donating to the super chat. All right, what are some of your questions? Independent outsider, Long Island, generally a hurricane a year. Yeah, that big hurricane hit, and that was the thing that was in the Inconvenient sequel, which, by the way, I signed up for Al Gore's climate leadership thing. It's in Pittsburgh. It's in October. I haven't heard back yet if I'm in, but if I get accepted, I'm going to Pittsburgh for 3 days to learn how to do this. And I'll see. Maybe I'll try to set up and do a show out there while I'm in Pittsburgh. But we got to take. I got to do something. So Winkle the Bernie Bro, I think Jimmy could be convinced into mayor of Pasadena. I don't know. I mean, you guys posted it. Dor Elwood 2020. I think Jimmy could run for politics. He could win, man. He could win. Independent Outsider Graham, have you read any of Hillary's show? If so, anything in there that could lead to libel or slander? If not, why not? You are not American? Don't worry. Neither am I. Apparently didn't read. No, I didn't. I haven't read anything. Yeah, and because I didn't read her book or her show or whatever, obviously I hate women. I'm a sexist burn bro. That's what I'm all about. Tio Yoshi, I don't understand though. What? Você não entendo. Você não entende português, você é brasileiro. Que foi? God's favorite atheist, Jimmy for mayor. Yeah, Jimmy for mayor. Winkle the Bird, great Portuguese. Yeah, I picked up a little bit. I want to study more languages. I like traveling. Rene Moncayo, read up on the U.S. intervention in the sugar market in Haiti and Cuba. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Rene Moncayo. Brasil com mais que português. Foi bom. Yeah, Hillary's book. Phil Brinton. He's asking where on earth we will bury these hurricane-damaged rugs and toxic waste. Yukon Cornelius is a DNC hack. All right, where are we at here? Ian Paraka. The California government should subsidize carbon farming in the state. It would help out with drought problem and climate change. I'm from Petaluma near Santa Rosa. Ian, that's a great point. I think, I did a video months ago about state of California had so much excess solar energy it had to sell it to Arizona to take it off their hands, and I think that's great. I think California should do carbon farming. I think it should. One of the things that this country needs is a complete overhaul of the electric grid, which again, you could put that as part of the Green New Deal if you had a really progressive president. I want to redo the infrastructure, the electric grid, right? Put a lot of people to work doing this, but also making us safer. We're susceptible to hacks and all this stuff. It needs to be put up to date, and make it more efficient and make us able to store and distribute energy. So like when a state like California has an excess of electricity from all of its solar, it can distribute it to other states that need it. It also means getting around the utility companies. Jeremy Walker. Hey, everybody. Phil Britton, draft door. Start those signatures. C-Rose, thoughts on Bernie totally dismissing the DNC lawsuit in Iowa radio show, said we should just move on. I don't know. I've been a little frustrated with Bernie lately. I understand a little bit about his, hey, let's move on, there's real problems to deal with. I understand that to a certain point. But it's part of the problem, and I'm dying to know what happens at the end of this weekend, the Draft Bernie conference, which I don't think he's going to do it, but I get it up to a point. But the problem is the mainstream media didn't cover the lawsuit at all, and then it was just completely dismissed. And I think, if Bernie's going to just say, hey, let's move on, let's move forward, then he needs to actually get drafted and start his third party and just say, all right, we know what happened. They stole it. That's why I'm starting a third party. Let's move forward. If he's going to do that, if he's going to stay in business with the DNC and then say, let's move on, that's where I think I have a problem, because until the DNC admits this, how can the DNC fix itself? Which I don't think it can. I don't think there's much hope for the DNC, quite honestly. But that's a great question. Dominic Morrow, love the work you're doing. Keep it up. When will there be a 1 million-person march for single payer? Oh, wow, Dominic, that is a great question. I would love to see that. I would love to see a 1 million-person march for single payer. I think somebody needs to really organize it. Maybe you should organize it, putting it out there. I hope it doesn't need a like complete healthcare breakdown disaster for that march to happen. I hope it's not like everybody loses, they get rid of the ACA and everyone's losing healthcare and then they have this march. But I would like to see, I mean, maybe that's what an organization like Draft Bernie, let's say if Bernie is like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not starting a third party, I'm sticking with the Democratic Party, then maybe the effort and the money and whatever that's been raised by an organization like Draft Bernie should say, you know what, we're gonna march for single payer because that's what we care about, and we're going to start a real third party. Maybe they organize that. Maybe it starts to unify some people. I don't know. It's just a thought. But Dominic Morrow, I appreciate the super chat. That's a fantastic question. I'm going to take a quick vegan smoothie break. That was great. I will keep it up, Dominic. And if you organize a 1 million person march for single payer, let me know. Was it Dom J? We share a grid with Europe. It's always windy somewhere. Interesting. Renee Moncayo, you guys in California need to come over here to Chile to explain this green energy witchcraft, especially since our similar climates and landscapes. Yes, it is witchcraft. Renee, I've never been to Chile. I'd love to go down there. I hear there's good surfing. I want to see the world. Let me know. I'll come down there. Maybe I'll do a live show in Chile. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be me and you doing it. Who knows? But after I take this Al Gore climate leadership thing, I want to travel around, and that's what it's for. That's the point. They give you this training for free, and then you make a commitment to go give these speeches and talks to help people understand it. And I think I want to start studying, become fluent in Spanish. David Kapoor, we need a complete tree canopy, no more asphalt lots or roofs, and complete network of Cybertracks in every town can do much to solve climate change locally. Yeah, that's great. The tree canopy thing, I've also seen in big cities that have a huge, heat from all the asphalt. They've started to put, grass on the roofs of high rises and office buildings and stuff like that, and they've seen temperatures lower. I think that's a fantastic. In Los Angeles, Mayor Villaraigosa, who's not our current mayor, Garcetti's our current mayor, but Villaraigosa was like, he did 1 million, we're going to plant 1 million trees in LA County, which is a good thing, more trees, so that's a great thing. It's a good point, David. Where are we at here? Jeremy Walker, stop, Graham. My Portuguese is terrible. Renee Moncaro, is there a chance to break the duopoly, maybe municipal and state level? It's, yeah, I think there is. I think, and we're starting to see it. I think and again, I cannot say this enough, the Draft Bernie organization, if Bernie doesn't want to do it, they shouldn't abandon hope. They should just move forward on a strong third party and get people to join it and have it get strength and build up a donation infrastructure, obviously not from big corporations, but get people to donate at the $10, $5, $20 level. That could really do it. C. Rose, as Jimmy Dore said, does Bernie expect us to donate to the DNC and just cross our fingers for fair primaries? That's what he was implying. Yeah, that's a problem, and it's disappointing if Bernie is just maybe, I don't know if the DNC sees the power of Bernie and all of his followers, so they're making deals with him and he's taking them. I don't know, but that's just it. Like, are you going to donate to the DNC? There's a hell no. There's no way I'm donating to the DNC, and I'm not going to just hope that they figure it out. I have to see some radical change before I ever give that party a nickel of my money. And I don't see a big change coming in 2018. I think there are some little progressive candidates that could win some seats, and I think that's going to be cool. But what's going to happen is some of them are going to defeat corporate Democrats in the primaries, in the March 18, in the spring primaries. And what's the DNC going to do then? Right? If some grassroots, progressive, populist Democrat unseats an old town, corporate Democrat, the DNC is going to go then after the little progressive. What have we seen them do that would say otherwise? So this idea that we have to still have faith in the DNC, and even Bernie saying it, means we need a third party. And get Nina to join then. Get Nina Turner to start the third. If Bernie doesn't want to, then maybe it's like, hey, Bernie, we appreciate everything you did. You woke a lot of us up. But if you still want to play ball with the Democrats after what they did to you and this country, then maybe it's time to just go, thanks, Bernie, we appreciate it, but it's time to move on. Maybe that's something we got to accept. Karen Sheets. Thank you, Karen, for donating. The Equifax data breach. How should Equifax be held accountable for this breach, and what should it do for its customers? Oh, God. Equifax is so awful. As I said in one of the videos, if you read Dave Ramsey's book, Financial University, and also Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but Dave Ramsey is a big advocate of no credit. Don't have credit. I know some of us need it. I'm going to need it because when I buy a car, I'm going to have to, I can't pay for the whole car. I'm going to have to finance some of it. If you want to buy a home, you have to have credit, so it is a part of our lives. But to get back to your question, Karen Sheets, what I would love to see how Equifax to be held accountable. I would love to see them get punished. I would love to see them give financial reward and like money, and we're bumping up everybody's credit score, 20 points. I would love to see Equifax to be held accountable, but the problem is the big three credit reporting agencies are part of the problem. I mean, they're part of the big banking. They're part of keeping us all in debt. They're part of everything. They're part of all of that. So how I would like to see them held accountable, and how they're actually going to be held accountable are going to be, sadly, two different things. I mean, I'm sure you know that, Karen, and all of you already know that, but that's the sad reality. Is Equifax is just giving, corporate, doublespeak, and our standards of blah, blah, blah will always be in coordinating with, we will make amends to the blah, 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 blah. Like, they're, what are they going to actually do? Probably very little, but it's good. Maybe I'll do a video on this, on the data breach, and talk a little bit more about it and how it happened, because I think it's another way that they keep people down. Not having good schools, not having good health care, always being in debt, the cost of everything going up and up and up, not having a livable wage. It's one of the ways they keep everybody down. So you got to work 2-3 jobs. You don't have time to watch alternative media, to watch Jimmy Dore or myself or anybody else and go, oh, I'm getting new information. I just don't have the time. They want you to not have the time. They want you to be beholden to Equifax and your bank and, Bank of America. They want you to be beholden to that. So Karen Sheets, I appreciate the donation, and like I said, I would love to see the heads of Equifax. Like, wouldn't it be great if it was like samurai times, where like the CEO of Equifax like commits seppuku and takes his own life and says, I've dishonored this company, and like, wouldn't that be fantastic? I would love to see. So that's how I think Equifax should be held accountable, Karen Sheets. Seppuku, ritual suicide. If they want to regain their honor, they've dishonored their company, their family, and the United States, they should take their own lives. So we'll see if that works, Karen. Let's hope that happens. Marcia Smith, no question but want to support you and your channel. Marcia, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, you guys. Every Sunday, you guys are just like so rad. You're such a bunch of badasses. You guys inspire me so much You guys ask amazing questions. You're out there doing your own stuff, starting your own channels and getting involved in the local politics in your area. And you're talking to each other online and you're doing research and you're sharing these videos and you're doing all this stuff. So you guys impress me so much. And that's why I look forward to this. Like I get up on Sundays and I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to surf and I'm going to do the super chat. It's going to be awesome. So thank you so much, Marcia Smith, for supporting the show. Winkle the Bernie Bro, Rokana 2020. Yeah, Rokana said some good things. I know Debbie, same progressive, came out against him and said he's not. He's a corporate Democrat. But Jimmy Dore made a great point. He said his purity test is what he's for. He's for single payer. He's for, ending wars. He's for green energy. So let's see. Let's give him a chance. Independent outsider, my wife's funk music alarm just rang. Need to leave for a second. All right, baby. Flashlight. God, I've been listening to some funk lately. I went to see this like jazz funk band last night in Venice. It was so awesome. I'm going out more. So it's fun. It was fun. It was awesome music. A friend of mine took me there. It was great. Art Kozlinski. Yeah! Thank you for that. Basil Patterson. The fact that this country is an oligarchy makes actually following antitrust legislation highly unlikely. Yeah, that's a great point. And that always is like, so how do we get all this regulation? How are we going to change this thing when it is an oligarchy, when it is a kleptocracy? And I think we gotta change from within, and we got to start a third party, and we got to, erode a little bit here. And I think the little races that the DNC are not paying attention to, that's where we can like slip a progressive in and stuff like that and find opportunities to win over a seat with a real progressive and knock out the corporates, the corporate Republicans and Democrats, knock them all out. It's possible, but it is challenging. You are correct. Tabitha Enriquez, can't fight it without a power structure in place. That's a good point. That's a good point. But I think, again, I think if we slowly change it and sort of Trojan horse it, I think there's a chance. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic. Michael Stiegel Jr. Karen Sheets, the corporate world is never held accountable. They're not. That's why we need to bring back seppuku in the corporate world. If I were president, I would enact seppuku. You're a corporation, you do something what Equifax did or what BP did with the Deepwater Horizon, polluting the Gulf of Mexico, or the banking industry, the top CEOs all have to commit seppuku. I think it's fair. I think that's going to be fair. James Y, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax are all linked to the banks that run our lives. Yeah, for sure. They're part of it. The banks run them. It's like if you watch the movie, God, I'm just blanking on it. Oh, God, The Big Short, with Stephen Carell and everything. And you see how, like, the rating agencies were part of the scam in pumping up the value of these bonds and everything like that. It's like it's all rigged. Real Jingy, always a little disabling, always a little hurting, always in some pain. We all expect the rich must continually suffer needlessly. All right. Jenny Lynn, it's easy being green. Yeah, fantastic. Hashtag, that's a great thing to put up there, Jenny Lynn. All right, let's go back here. Hail Sagan. You guys just go off of it. Ian Braga, core pirate Democrats. Graham, you're pronouncing it wrong. All right, I'll try to. I know I have real pronunciation issues. I'll call it core pirate Democrats. You got it. Tabitha Enriquez, I'm green. Good for you. Renee Moncayo. Bannon's going to that by using his credentials, by being kicked out of the cabinet to start a fascist party for the Trumpian proletariat. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. If Bannon starts some kind of crazy Nazi third party, while that is a scary proposition, it actually might motivate more people to start like a real third party in America, or just get behind the Green Party or something. I don't know. That's me trying to see the glass half full, of course, but I agree with you that Bannon is probably going to try to do some crazy shit like that. But maybe the reaction to it, the pendulum would swing so much the other direction. People go, oh my God, we're not having a strong fascist party in this country. We're going to countermine it with a real progressive populist party. That's what I'd like to see. Ian Paraka, what's your opinion on TYT? You know, I only ever go to Aggressive Progressives. I was just on it last week, and everyone there is very nice to me. I don't watch a lot of the shows on there, really. I think they're doing some decent work. I think it's a fine, you know, it's the biggest independent media place on YouTube. So I got a lot of respect for what they've done. I don't always agree with everything they say and do. Like when they backed Hillary after Bernie lost the primary, I didn't agree with that. You know, I don't want to just, I don't agree that, you know, I think Cenk Unger needs to acknowledge the Armenian genocide, for sure. Just because he's Turkish doesn't mean he should. There's a lot of Turkish scholars that are starting to acknowledge the Armenian genocide, so I think he should do that. Overall, as a news organization, I'm glad they're there. We have to have some big, I mean, they're big and they're powerful, and they just got this $20 million deal. And I know some people are like, oh man, they're getting all this money from, you know, from big corporations or whatever. It's going to make them become more corporate. I don't know. We'll see. But overall, I like what they're doing. And there's a lot of people there that I really like and respect that I've met from working there. And, you know, as I said, if they asked me to be, I would love to be on their network because this show would grow immensely. I would be very upfront and say, look, I'm not changing my beliefs. I'm not going to change my opinion on something. If I'm diametrically opposed to anybody at TYT, you know, I'm not like I would if they took Political Vigilante and put it on TYT. Not like I'd be like, I'm going to start to fight with everybody at TYT. It's not what I'm saying, but I would be like, you know, these are my opinions. I'm going to stick to them. I'm not going to change. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to, but like if they're okay with that, I would gladly do it. And I think overall, it's good to be critical of them. Because we should, as I've said, we should be critical of everybody. You should be critical of me. You should be critical of Jimmy Dore. We should not just join the team thing. Well, I'm against the corporate media, so anything TYT does, I'm down with, or Jimmy Dore, or Graham, or Tim Black, or whatever. Like, ask the questions. Ask the questions. And so, what's a fair question to ask? I'm not over there that much. I'm not on any other shows, but what I've seen, I like. I like what they let Jimmy do. I like what Jimmy lets me do. Stephen O, I've done shows with him. He's really cool. He's very supportive of what I'm doing. And he's never, when I've been on Aggressive Progressive with him or Jimmy Dore show live, said, oh, Graham, you shouldn't have. Oh, boy. He's never done that. He's always been like, yeah, man, say what you want to say. And he said that to Jimmy, too. So that's my opinion on TYT. Thanks for asking. Where are we? Oh, a lot of questions came in. Okay. Oh. So Cenk, oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss the point? So Winkle the Brain Boy is saying Cenk did acknowledge it? Okay. My understanding was he hadn't. My understanding was he kind of vaguely acknowledged it, but if he's since acknowledged it, great. I mean, I know Anna Kasparian, she's Armenian, and she did her own video on it. It wasn't on TYT. It was on her own, like her own YouTube thing. But I just know that the term Young Turks is an offensive term to a lot of Armenians because it was the Young Turks that were like pushing that genocide forward. But if you say he's come out and changed his mind on it, then I'll give him credit for that. And I respect anybody who can do that, who can say, you know what, I was wrong. I had it wrong. You know, there's a great interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson is on the Joe Rogan show, and Neil deGrasse Tyson point blank asks Joe Rogan, what made you change your mind? Because Joe Rogan used to be a moon landing denier. And Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't like being a dick, but he was like, I know you've changed your stance on this. What made you do it? And it was a fine question to ask. And it was Joe Rogan gave a really solid answer on how he was able to be sort of seduced by that conspiracy theory and what made him change his mind and go more for facts. So look, I get it. You're raised in Turkey. You're told genocide didn't happen. And you come out in the world and you start changing your views on things. I remember when I was like a teenager, I thought gay people were choosing to be gay. You know, and I didn't come from I came from a very liberal home. My parents were theater people. There was a gay couple, these two guys that my parents knew that we were friends with. And I didn't even know they were gay till I got older. I just like, oh, these two guys live together. You know, I didn't know I was a kid. And then so I thought that. And then I got to college and I was doing theater stuff and I was meeting gay people and they were like, well, Graham, you think I chose this? No, I was born this way. I was like, oh, so I changed my mind. That's just one example. Anyway, C-Rose, the investor funding issue at TYT is a huge problem, especially together, their Justice Democrats being a huge conflict of interest for a media company. Yeah, that's a valid point. That's a valid point. And when that kind of big money comes in, what is it going to do? How is it going to influence things? I would suggest keep watching, see what happens. See what happens. You know, and if there's videos and commentary and news that you like, then watch that. If there's stuff that they say that you don't like, don't watch it. But that's such a valid point, C. Rose. Is that a conflict of interest? Maybe it is, and if it is, that needs to be brought up. I thank you for bringing it up. Jonathan Pye has to be on a show with Graham, Michael Brooks, and Jonathan Pye. I don't know Jonathan Pye, but I'd like to see it. Jenny Lynn, Winkle, he really didn't. That was really half of what he said. Yeah, that's the thing. I've heard conflicting things. I mean, we don't need to, if there's I'll tell you this, Winkle, Bernie, bro. You're a Patreon supporter, so if there's an actual link to a video of Cenk fully acknowledging the Armenian genocide, send it to me. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. But I tell you what, every April 24th, I'm releasing a video about the Armenian genocide, no matter where I'm doing the show. And I'm Irish Catholic. Well, not Catholic anymore, because they molest kids and cover it up. Art Kozlinski, let's do a maximum wage where we cap the wages of CEOs at $5 million. The rest must be reinvested into the workers at the company. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Again, I would love to see some corporate people just do that on their own. I would love to pass that legislation. They would fight it so hard. They would fight it so hard, but that is like, I would love to see that. The thing about like a buddy of mine that's fairly well off, he's not like multi-millionaire, billionaire CEO, but he runs a company like an ad agency, and he's done quite well for himself. Said once, man, they shouldn't be passing all these laws to make people pay for this stuff. And I said, you're right, they shouldn't. People should just want to help people because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. If you're making all this money, I don't know how you don't automatically sit there and go, well, hey, how do I help people? God, I got all this money. How do I give it back to my workers? How do I invest it in my community versus, oh, I need another yacht? I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you drive by homeless people or just know someone that's struggling and go, I don't know how you do that. But that's a good solution, Art. Ian Paraka. Cenk recently acknowledged it, but it took him long enough. It's amazing how set in their ways people are. All right. Like I said, send me the link. Renee Moncayo, the Armenians have to be held accountable to the massacres in Nagorno-Karabakh. It's not like Cenk is an Ottoman Sultan or Pesha. No, okay, sure. But here's the thing, the Armenian genocide issue, why it's so relevant, is because it's an oil issue. So Obama, when he was running, when he was a senator, said he would acknowledge it. When he first started to run for president in 2008, when I become president, he said, and he went to the Armenian churches in America and said, I'm going to acknowledge this. All the Armenians really want is it to be acknowledged. There's some factions of Armenians that want financial reparations. They want land back. Okay, maybe that's possible. Maybe that isn't. But they more than likely just want it to be acknowledged. But Obama wouldn't do it because we have bases in Turkey, and we need Turkey as a strategic point. Israel wouldn't acknowledge it because Israel does business with Turkey and with another country that won't acknowledge it. So Israel won't acknowledge it. So it isn't about like, oh, Cenk is he's, like you say, he's not an Ottoman Sultan. He's an American of Turkish descent, just like I'm an American of Irish descent. But he's a news figure. He's a very influential news figure. And for him to acknowledge it it's important. And to say, hey, I was Turkish, I was raised to not, like I read about this one Turkish scholar who was raised to not believe it. And then he was doing research at a university on the East Coast of America and started seeing information. He's like, oh my God, he had an awakening because he goes, none of this information was not available to anybody in Turkey. So I think it is relevant. I don't want to keep harping on this, but you guys keep bringing it up. It is relevant, and it needs to be brought up. And it also shows you how the oil in the Middle East makes countries like America and Israel. Germany acknowledges it. So Germany can acknowledge this genocide, but Israel can't? See, I have a problem with that. It's not right. Sean B. at Basil Peterson, however, he was speculating what a Bannon third party would be. I think it would simply split the right. Yeah, that's true. Going back to if Bannon starts a fascist party, I think it would split the right and it would potentially undermine the Republican Party because then the total fascist right-wing Nazi people would all go to that party. I don't know, maybe it would make the Republican Party less evil. I don't know. I'm just theorizing at this point. All right. Here we go. Okay. Basil Patterson, one person should not be able to have more than $1 billion. That's a good rule. There should just be an automatic charity, like a limit. Like once you get to a certain amount of money, if you make more, it automatically goes into charity and back. Like just 50% of it goes back to your workers, your employees, and 50% goes to charity. Like it just automatically triggers. Like the banks just go whoop, bam. That's a great point. Or just billionaires start having a soul and conscience and start helping people. There are some. Phil Britton, trickle down is the golden shower of BS predatory capitalists have used for years, brought by the ignorant. Yeah, oh yeah, trickle down is, ugh. Oh, the rich will help the poor. Oh, really? Yeah. They'll give the poor minimum wage jobs. They'll give them no health benefits, no retirement, no unions, no nothing. They'll just give them a slave wage to keep them toiling along so that these people can stay rich. Excellent point, Phil. Don't forget, guys, hit the super chat button. I got about 10 more minutes to go. Woo! Excuse me. Renee Moncare, but the Armenians are hypocrites. Nagorno-Karabakh happened under their watch. Okay. But the fact that the genocide happened and the Turkish government won't acknowledge it happened, they systematically did it. The Nazis used what the Turks did as a template for the final solution for the Jews in World War II. It needs to be acknowledged. You want to hold the Armenians accountable for stuff they did? That's fine. But the Armenian genocide needs to be acknowledged. That's the end. That's the end of my opinion on that. Red in Economics. Hey, Red in Economics. Good to have you here. If we get rid of Trump, we'd have to get rid of 99.9% of our government for being corrupt sleazebags too. Not opposed to that scenario. Red in Economics, I'm not opposed to that scenario either. God's Favorite Atheist adds to this by saying Trump equals protest, Pence equals silence. Yeah, we talked about it on the interview that I did with God's Favorite Atheist. More of those Skype interviews are going to be recorded and dropped this upcoming week. Yeah, that's the thing. Trump elicits a lot of resistance, and Pence, everyone might go back to sleep. That's my fear, is the left would go back to sleep. The left would go, oh, isn't he nice? And he's got a nice haircut, and he doesn't say awful things, and his Twitter account isn't crazy. Meanwhile, he's back doing all this evil Republican, electrocuting gays or whatever. That's an excellent point. Red in Economics and God's Favorite Atheist, 2 YouTube shows you should check out. Let's see. C-Rose, what if MSNBC ran their own slate of candidates and Hayes Maddow promoted them nightly and solicited donations? Media should not be running candidates. It's wrong and unethical. That's an excellent point, C-Rose. That is an excellent point. That's an excellent point. And Paraka, the Ottoman Empire was declining for centuries. Then there was a coup, and the Young Turks took over. The Young Turks then made a whole bunch of progressive changes. That's why they call themselves the Young Turks. I understand, but I just know Armenians find that term, the Young Turks, very offensive. Just letting you know. Independent outside a Republican Party being less evil, that's like the Dems being less greedy. Not going to happen. Yeah, it might be. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overly optimistic today. I'm just saying that the rainbow potential and everything, but you might be right. Art Kozlinski, breaking news. The Trump Library in Florida was just destroyed. All 3 books perished, and Trump didn't even finish coloring them. Ha ha! Last I heard, he's not using Mar-a-Lago. He won't let that be used as a shelter. He doesn't want undesirables in his fancy club. Dominic Morrow, has Bannon actually stated he plans on trying to create a third party? I haven't heard a definitive on that. I've heard like rumblings, but I don't know. Maybe one of you guys out there has read or something where Bannon has definitely said he's going to do that. If so, I'd like to know about it. So where are we at? You're welcome for the shout out, Red Economics. Jake Smith, Bannon says Republicans could lose House because of DACA, causing civil war within Republican Party. Yeah, the DACA issues, it's brutal. And I think that you saw the Republicans get split on that. You saw them get split on trying to repeal Obamacare. And it might, I don't know. I think if this country had like 3 or 4 legitimate parties, not just the duopoly and then these little ones like the Libertarians and Greens, but like real legitimate parties, I think we would see a hell of a lot more change. I think we would see a hell of a lot more change. God's Favorite Atheist, you're welcome. Happy birthday, Jenny Lynn. Wait a minute. Jenny Lynn, it's your birthday? Happy birthday to you, vegan smoothie. Sorry, that's all I got. Tabitha Enriquez, socialism is an economic system based on democratic decisions for everyone. Yeah. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Everyone that's so like, oh, socialism is bad. And oh, it's like communism. I'm always like, well, police and fire departments are socialized. Trash collection is socialized. Street cleaning is socialized. Libraries are socialized. Roads are socialized. And on down the line. You're a 9/11 baby, actually? Oh, wow. Yeah. I like the socialism thing. All right. Independent outsider, don't ask how old Jenny is. I won't ask that. Yeah. Jenny Lynn, Americans are tragically politically ignorant. That is correct. Callie Hughes, the way we can guarantee that what happened to Jill Stein in 2012 will never happen again is another party. Disgraceful. Yeah, that's a great point. Katie Hughes, that is a great point. We need a real strong third party. We need a third and fourth party. Imagine, I've said this before, but imagine if during these the debates, the big national debates, where there's tens of millions of people watching, and what if we had, Trump, Clinton, Jill Stein, and Gary Johnson? What if we would have had those four people on stage? And then all of their VPs debating. How powerful would that be? How much of an engaged democracy would we have? Because that's what we really need, is an engaged democracy. People feel so cheated. Of course they don't want to engage. Why would they? Their votes don't count. Elections are held on a Tuesday when everyone has to work. It's a scam. Even if I did vote, the superdelegates took my... Why would you? Why would you? But I agree. We need real parties, man. We need real parties. Michael Stiegel Jr., how badly would the hurricanes affect the economy? Well, we're going to see. They're going to affect them. These are brutal. These are giant hurricanes. We were talking about it at the top of the live chat. It's going to cost billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild Texas and Florida. And people are wiped out and there isn't an infrastructure and we don't have a safety net. There's going to be droves of homeless people with no jobs, and there's no nothing. Where are they going to stay? You're going to see it. You're going to see it. I mean, gas prices have taken a spike since what happened in Houston, right? So it's going to affect the economy in huge ways, Michael, and I appreciate you bringing that up. All right. James 98. Why is the party called Democratic? It's like someone a non-rapist hypnotist. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to get Democrat. If you want to get like working class people or centrists or people that are right of center, you have to get Democrat out of there. And that's why even I think green has to be out of there, because green is associated, from the right at least, it's looked at as, oh, a bunch of dumb hippies. I think if you had the like progressive party, you called it the progressive party or something like that, I think you could get more people on board. Independent outsider, high where gas prices go after hurricanes. They're already over $3 here in California. I think they'll go over $3 nationwide, and they'll be over $3.50 or so. We could see gas prices get up to $4. Remember in 2008 when it was almost $5? James Y, how many countries have only a two-party system? Oh, God, I know. A friend of mine is telling me in Canada they're watching a debate, and there's like 5 candidates on national TV. It's like we need all that stuff. Jenny Lynn, I was politically awoke from a very early age. I knew immediately what happened on that day. It was my 21st birthday, by the way. I'm not shy about age. Ian Paraka, Graham, if you were president, how drastically would you slash the military budget? I would at least cut it in half. It's at $600 billion right now. I'd get it down to $300 billion. And I'd take that $300 that I cut, and I would put it into the Green New Deal, as I've talked about. We would have high-speed rail. We would have wind turbines and solar panels being made in this country. We would completely overhaul the electrical grid. We would put an infrastructure of hydrogen and electric car pumps, and this would all be done by Americans. I would put a bunch of Americans to work. In cutting the military budget by 50%, I would be pulling a lot of military home. We would not be drone striking people, which thus creates more civilians. More terrorists. It creates more terrorists and more refugees. That's how I would keep America safe, was I would stop creating more terrorists. And I would also make single payer an issue. I would take the $300 billion. It's now $700 billion now, actually. Well, then I would still cut it down to 300, and I would take the $400 billion. And I would invest it in this country. I would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour across the country. We would have single-payer health care, and we would have, I would do student loan forgiveness, and I would have free college tuition. And guess what you would see? The crime rate would drop, engagement would go up, I would open the primaries, I would eliminate the two parties from controlling how elections are run, and that's what I would do if I was president. Vote for Elwood 2020. All right, guys, I'm about to wrap up here. Basil Patterson, parliamentary democracies allow for multiple parties. Yep. Eddie Nunn, other than multiple parties, the debate format needs to be retooled as well. It is developed from discussing issues and exchanging ideas, but just getting to the best sound bites. Well, that's what I was talking about, Eddie. The two parties run the debates. And you have to have like 13% in the polls or something like that to get in the debate. So they always squash it. And the big networks are part of the thing. There's no mention of the two parties in the Constitution, and yet they run everything. It's insane. All right, you guys. Yeah, it's 4:21. I got to get rolling, but you guys have been fantastic. There's so many more questions here. Dorm J just did the math. Gas in England is $6 a gallon. Yeah. They subsidize it so much here that if gas was if it was $6 a gallon here in America, like you pay in Europe, everyone would be carpooling. Everyone would be taking public transportation. Everyone would be buying electric car. Everyone would. That's the auto and the oil industry does that. That's what that's all about. But you guys are fantastic. I think I will definitely do it next week. I might have to up the time from 3 p.m. Pacific to 2 p.m., but I'll let you know either Saturday or early Sunday morning if you follow me Twitter at Graham Elwood or on Facebook. I announce when I'm going to go live. Next weekend I might have a thing I got to do earlier, so I might have to do the live chat at 2 o'clock. But you guys are great. Happy birthday to Jenny Lynn. And of course, thank you so much for all of the Super Chat people. Independent Outsider. I'm glad you like Charity Navigator. Teo Yoshi, Oi Brazil, Dominic Morrow. Maybe you should start this the million-person single-payer march. Karen Sheets, you're awesome, and thanks you bring up the Equifax breach. We'll see what the fallout from that is going to be. Marcia Smith, you're fantastic as well. You guys are all awesome, and of course, everybody else that's listening. Jenny Walker, Ian Praga, Independent Outsider, Brazil Patterson, Art Kalinsky, Michael Stiegel Jr., Jenny J, Dorm, Redneck Economics, Marsha Smith, Winkle the Bernie Bro, Tabitha Enriquez, Kevin, Kelly Hughes, James 98, God's Favorite Atheist, all of you guys, Winkle the Bernie Bro, James Y. You guys are all fantastic. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I love doing this I love these Super Chat Sundays. I absolutely love them. I look forward to them every week. And let's leave on this note. God's Favorite Atheist. Each of us carries within ourselves the capacity to change the world for the better or for the worse. And I love that we're all choosing to try to change the world for the better. I know there's days it gets bleak. I know every day there's news that's like, oh my God, what are we doing? There's no hope. But there is hope. The fact that all of you came to here to do this, I started this show in January with no idea what was going on, and we've already built up this cool little community. And it's going to get better, and we're going to make a change, and we're going to exchange information, and we will win. We will get this world back to where it needs to be. And it's happening because people like you give a shit, because people like you are caring, because people like you are not just giving your time, but your money and everything else. That's why this is going to work. So thanks for watching. You guys are fantastic, and I'll see you next week.